Hi guys, give me a moment as I get my title and everything formatted. I did this in the wrong order apparently. But thanks for joining us. We are going to be looking at how do we choose a book or a study that will not lead us astray. I'm getting this kind of saved and sorted, and alright, that should be good there. Everything is hopefully going through here. And I'm just checking to make sure stream health is healthy. Alright, everything appears to be going through the way I need it to, but it's set on private. Should not be private, people. Okay, now we are public. Now everything... Oof. Bear with me as I still am trying to get this whole streaming thing figured out. And my cats are walking in and out behind me. And we are hopefully getting this sorted. Alright, so if you're jumping in, thank you so much for joining me. If you are a first-time visitor, welcome to Bible Life Builders. Really quickly, what we do here at Bible Life Builders is we are working to help you build your life on a biblical foundation. We believe that the church is super important. Your local church especially is important for you to be involved with, to be there and to grow. And we are not here to replace that local church in your life. We really want you to be involved in that. We rather are here as a supplement or an addition to help further that growth on a day-to-day basis. I was talking with Isaac early on, and he agreed with me that there's kind of a lull during the week that we miss out on, that we don't have kind of that encouragement. Maybe you've got a Wednesday night thing, awesome. If not, you can kind of go days at a time without getting that uplifting voice or reassuring word. So we're here to help provide that. I am getting caught up on my live stream here. So today's question, I think, is a really interesting one. It is, how do we choose a book or a study that will not lead us astray? I think that is a great question, and it's such an interesting answer because of what that means for us as Christians. We have to be cautious on some of the sources that we are taking in. And again, this question comes from Amy again. It's the first part of her question. There's kind of a lot there in that first section, and I summarized it. So let me read it in full, and we'll address it as the subsection that I've created here. So her first part is, are there certain publishers we should look for? Because even Christian bookstores have, by, say, famous preachers that are most likely not great theology. And I think she has a couple people in mind. I'm going to talk about one of them. How can we walk in and make sure we do not choose a book or study that will lead us astray? So great question on that front. Great interaction. And I think it is a good, it's a good theological question to really dive into. So what do I have for us? How do we choose a book or a study, like a Bible study, that will not lead us astray? So what does that look like? What are we looking for in that? Well, here's what we've got. We have really, really cool, a couple things we can do, right? I found three. That's going to be kind of my format, I think, is getting three good examples that we can use for going through that. So what is my answer for you? Here's my first thing. Answer number one, this is a big red flag, is the author on the cover of the book. Now there is an asterisk. Are they writing an autobiography? There's a couple of things I think, okay, this person's writing an autobiography and they're on the cover of the book, so that's just something that is, I think, normal. Or it's a biography, so the person is about on the book. There's certain groups of people, certain pastors, certain, let's just call them leaders, who often have themselves as the cover of the book. And I think that's a big problem, because you're changing the focus of what you're about. And I personally am kind of glad that they do that, because I just know to avoid that book entirely, right? Because they are more self-centered, or they think that their face can sell an image or whatever. And we get some warning about that in Philippians chapter 2 verses 3 through 4. It tells us, "Do nothing from selfishness or empty conceit, but with humility consider one another as more important than yourselves. Do not merely look out for your own personal interests, but also for the interests of others." So here's where I think if these authors are doing it for the right reasons, they're going to be able to put something else on the cover or put something else out there. So this is just kind of a first red flag, like, hey, probably avoid this book. Let's keep going here, keep flowing. Next thing, the next check mark, is the author a good Christian leader? Are they somebody who has a track record in the church? Are they somebody who has many years of ministry that you can look at? You can look at their fruits to see if what they're talking about has validity. And is it worth your time? I got a verse for that as well here. It's in 1 Timothy chapter 3 verses 2 through 5. This is talking about an overseer, but I think this applies for an author as well, to a degree. An overseer then must be above reproach, the husband of one wife, temperate, self-controlled, respectable, hospitable, skillful in teaching, but not overindulgent in wine, not a bully, but gentle, not contagious, free from the love of money. He must be one who manages his own household well, keeping his children under control with all dignity. Is this author a good Christian leader? They don't necessarily need to be a pastor, but when you're comparing them to this list of qualities, are they checking the boxes? Are they missing things way out of left field? Now, there might be an author writing about a troubled past, so you're looking at the current author as they're writing this book. Are they a good person? That's going to show through on their theology, what they care about, what they put their importance in, and it's going to allow them to be somebody who can get across their voice or get across their image. So I think that's super important for us to take note of, take heed of, and to pay attention to. Is this person someone who's respectable and I can listen to? All right, last point, last answer to the question here. Ask about each book and author to a trusted spiritual leader. If you don't know, just ask. Ask somebody whose opinion you do trust. I would like to be a trusted spiritual leader for you in your lives. And so if you ask me and I don't know, I'll tell you I don't know. Ask somebody else, right? There's a lot of books out there that I would recommend. There's authors I do recommend. I am a big fan of John MacArthur's works. I love R.C. Sproul. I love reading things by David Platt. There's a ton of good authors out there, and I would highly recommend a great variety of them just by things that I have read myself or things I know about these people and their ministries and how that is looking today. So there are good books and good authors through various different publishers. So I can't just give you an answer of, just go for this publisher because they always publish good things, because a lot of publishers publish all over the spectrum. And I think you'd be missed by just picking one publisher and not going for what's actually inside the book and not judging just by who published the book itself. And so my three answers for you, my three kind of criteria, if you will. The first, is the author on the cover of the book? That's usually a red flag that it's a self-centered thing. That's something like Joel Osteen does all the time. And so I just avoid his teachings, his books, his ministry altogether, because it is not the gospel ministry. It's not the gospel teachings of Jesus Christ, but rather tends to be a self-centered prosperity gospel. Not to get on here and bash people, but I just want to be honest. Like, that is something that we should be avoiding. Number 2, is the author a good Christian leader? Can you look at their fruits? Are they somebody who's respectful in the church? Have they been so for many years? That tends to be a good sign. And lastly, if you don't know, ask. Ask somebody you do trust. Ask somebody who does know. Is this a book that I should be reading? Is this an author whose words I can trust? That really allows you to boil down and get to the root of it. And honestly, I think my third point here is probably the best one. Ask somebody who does know for each individual book, instead of just going for a wide spectrum of topical or publishers or anything like that. Ask each individually, and that will be the best answer for you. So hopefully that helps. Hopefully that gets that point across. I think I screwed up my stream, so I would have cut it a little bit short today because nobody's hopping in. I had a couple people marked to hop in, and they're not. So I think I've done something wrong. Thank you so much for joining me today, or catching it later if you are. And again, if you've got questions, leave them down below. That gives me stuff to talk about and answer for you guys so that you can then grow in your spiritual walks with Jesus Christ. Because that's the goal of this. We're not doing it for our own glory because we want to make ourselves less than this. But we want to be a resource for you guys to use in your walks so that you can then grow with Jesus Christ. Thank you so much for joining me, and you guys have a blessed day.